Thank you for taking the time out. Let me say that first officially.
My pleasure.
A certified platinum album, a sold-out concert tour. Are you wowed by the performance of your performance so far?
Well, we sort of expected it. One nice thing about this record is that it was delivered to every concert goer via AEG and NPG in conjunction. And we knew when the tickets were sold how many people would actually have the album. Knowing that, we brought Sony on board, and they've really helped to augment the sales and get even a more national exposure for the album.
That one idea, that simple idea, it sounds simple, but not many people, not if anybody has really done this before, to give the CD away to everybody who buys a concert ticket. A novel approach, but one that has now all of a sudden rewritten the rules a little bit. Has it not?
Well, the rules were made by people who don't really play music, so I think some of them need to be rewritten.
And they're being rewritten already as we speak. In fact, I believe SoundScan has already changed the way they're going to account for other groups in the future who use the same strategy here, but you've been grandfathered in for Musicology.
Well, to some degree we have. All truth be told, SoundScan has not really counted all the albums that have gone out to concert goers. And the album is included in the ticket price, and we do get paid back for the album sale. At the same time, there's roughly 450,000 copies that they haven't counted. So that being said, the rules do need to be rewritten a bit.
Apart from the strategy itself to give the CD away to the concert ticket purchasers, did you feel the electricity in the album itself when you were putting the album together itself?
Well, that's a hard question for me because I'm so close to the music. I love the album in the sense that I got back to playing a lot of the instruments myself. I've been using a lot of other musicians in past records. It's been a growth period for me, and I'm kind of getting back to the basic sound of Minneapolis sound now.
And as you suggested earlier, you're using Columbia to manufacture and distribute the CD, but that's it. Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about the role of music labels today and how that role is changing with time.
Well, for real artists such as myself, I'm trying to make a career out of this. So I don't want to just have one album and then out of here. That's what a lot of young acts are about these days, and the record companies are cool with that because then they kind of get a disposable, quick fix off these young acts and then move on to the next one. They also don't have to make any long-term deals, which means that the act is going to make a great deal more money than just coming out with their first record. The situation I have with Sony is unique in the sense that they respect my career, and they understand that it's important that we own the work, so there isn't an issue about that, and they've just been beautiful all the way around.
How do you advise young talent when they come in who want to get into the music industry? And you've certainly been in this industry long enough to have probably some sage words of advice for them about breaking into the industry today. It's different today than it was when you started.
True. It depends on what it is they're trying to achieve. If you talk to a lot of kids now, they're programmed by the star-making machinery like American Idol and MTV and things like that. So if they're into that, then the music industry is cool. If they're looking to have five albums plus career, then wow, I would advise starting a new industry and staying free and not signing any long-term restrictive contracts, because in the end you end up owning nothing.
You said during your dates at the Madison Square Garden, real music by real musicians. That's at the core of the music industry, or should be at the core of the music industry.
Well, unfortunately, like I said, music industry isn't being run by musicians. So it's being run by accountants and lawyers. So I don't know if they'd know real music if they heard it. What they're looking for is acts that are going to make the most money for them. So you'll see all kinds of little gimmicks, so to speak. And ultimately, real music is just about a microphone and a spotlight. If you can get over like that and bring the special effects within your body, you know, then I think you're gonna have a lot longer career.
The record industry may well have should have been watching you relatively early on when you looked at the internet and saw some opportunity there. NPG Music Club has been a success even before other digital downloading arenas were even open. What role do you see the internet playing in the future?
Well, one of the things I think that we have over other companies like that and music clubs like that is the face of me. Our music club has my face to sell it. The other systems, they're kind of just uploading content that doesn't really belong to them, and it's just kind of a smorgasbord. But there's just one artist whose music you can get at NPG Music Club right now, and that's mine.
Musically, how do you evolve musically, and how do you hone your own craft?
Musically, I think I've evolved by the simple fact of working on my spirit as a human being. I've been studying the Bible as of late, and it's began to play a major role in my life, so it's going to affect everything, especially the music, because music is so dear to me. That said, I think that I don't know if I'm getting to be a better guitar player or a better singer or anything like that, but I feel more confident, I guess I would say, in my gifts.
So spirituality is helping you not only musically, but affecting you lyrically as well?
Yes, sir.
Are there any challenges in playing some of your older music on a nightly basis when you're on a tour like this, and how do you keep it fresh?
One of the ways we keep it fresh is we use new musicians. Simple fact that we have Maceo Parker playing in the band and Candy Delfer, and this new kid named Chance Howard, who's an amazing singer, instrumentalist. They bring different colors to the music, and some people, like myself, they keep bands for 15, 20 years, but I like to find new young kids that have something that they can bring to the sound.
And yet from the sound of the sound check earlier this evening, you're not sacrificing a musical tightness by bringing in new musicians either.
Oh, not at all. Tightness is the key, and also respect for each other. Renato Neto, the piano player, is an amazing player, and he usually leads his own band, and just coming in and having the respect that he has for me, he allows me to lead this band and keep it tight that way. So Renato, Rhonda, John, all the new players, if they love and respect one another, that's what I think makes the tightness, not rehearsal over and over and over.
A friend of mine was in the audience in New York, Madison Square Garden, just last week, and talked about how visibly moved the audience was over the course of the concert. Mm-hmm. And she said also, you seem to be equally moved by the audience. Mm-hmm. What role does the audience play for you during a concert, and is there really a two-way exchange of emotion? Oh,
absolutely. That's what it's about, really. And I come there for that, and I ask them to be interactive with us and give us all that they can from the very beginning. There's a call and response nearly in every song, and I vibe off of them. And that's another reason why it's important for musicians to understand that when you bring pre-recorded shows to a concert, it's going to be different every night. The audience is anyway. If you bring a pre-recorded show, then you can't vibe off the audience because it's structured then. And I think that's cool for the circus, you know. Trapeze artist has to catch the other person right on cue, but music is not like that. It should be organic and unexpected.
The theater and the round, I'm guessing, helps that communication back and forth between the audience and you on the stage.
Oh, definitely. It's really hard to go back to straight stages now. I don't know that I ever will. It's so powerful to be in the center of all that energy and to pass it back and forth. It's incredible.
Another aspect of the concert tour is an acoustic center of the concert, isn't it? It was sort of
Yeah.
fell in the middle, at least in the New York shows.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your sense, because that might not be the first thing people think about when they think of Prince, not maybe acoustic, but there is an acoustic side, and according to many of the very positive reviews I've read, it is some of the more intimate material that is being heard on this tour. Tell me about the planning process of putting that in.
Well, what I wanted to do with the acoustic section was, first of all, challenge myself to be up there alone and to let the power of the song and my voice carry the concert. It's been indeed a challenge because I have to try to keep it fresh for myself. I change the songs nightly. So the other thing, you know, when you strip away the performing aspect, the dancing and the lights and what have you, I think that people can really hear the music better, and I think it's really helped people to understand that I do write songs and I am a singer, instrumentalist, so it's been a blessing in disguise.
20 years since Purple Rain was released. I saw that in a piece of research last week, and I couldn't believe it, that much time had passed. Does it surprise you? Do you think about that much?
No, sir. I don't count years. I don't count time. I don't let it weigh my mind down that way. I like to believe that I'm about 20 years old, so if I keep thinking that, then so be it.
But when I listen to Purple Rain, even today, it feels as musically relevant today as it was edgy and vanguard back then.
Oh,
it still feels very current.
I appreciate you saying that. One of the reasons I think that is that I never wanted to fit in with my music. Whatever the trend was, I usually went the opposite direction because I wanted to still be here talking to you. How old were you when that album came out? 10?
26.
Oh, okay.
But an exciting album. Nonetheless, earlier this year, an induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you?
It was really a wonderful night. I'm not much into awards and things like that, but the honor was great. It was wonderful to be around great people, the other musicians in the room. It was also great for my family. They were there. And it was great for the other musicians, I think, who look up to me and can see that somebody like me going against the grain, you can be honored that far down the line. Hang on just a second.
You, of course, remember the introduction at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony by Alicia Keys. It is played before the concert begins here at night. On the heels of that, I believe you said during one of your tours at Madison Square Garden, one of your appearances there, that you have to be the prince before you're a king, or a prince before you're a king. Is that an Elvis reference at all, or not?
No.
No?
No.
I was just curious about whether or not you were a fan of his at all over the course, and which just simply gets to me what your musical motivations were as a kid coming up through the ranks.
A lot of them are named on the song Musicology, James Brown, Earth, Wind and Fire. I listened to musicians. I didn't really listen to performers. Mm-hmm. I looked to people who actually structured their own songs, songwriters and really great singers.
Where do you put yourself in your career right now?
Oh, I always feel like I'm just starting.
Just starting?
Yeah.
A lot more to give?
Oh, yeah, and every year I meet new people that I want to work with, and I always have wonderful ideas for operas and movies and things like that, but it takes time. So
it does take time, and this is you clearly had the patience to devote and energies to devote to the various mediums that you work in. Any other plans on movies down the road?
We keep the channel open, but we don't have any plans right now. We're in the middle of this tour, and it's going so great, and we're having just a gas out here. So,
what will you do once the tour is over?
Oh, I don't know.
Probably rest a little bit.
Will it ever be over?
Does it ever get fatiguing on the road?
Not really, no. The music actually gives me the spirit and the energy to perform again. So.
And has the success of Musicology, you noticed, given a lift to your other albums as well?
Well, I would assume so. You'd have to ask Time Warner, but...
Your old label.
Yeah.
No longer, clearly. Any animosity with them still? Or?
No, not at all.
Sort of don't bother wasting your energy on that?
No. Once I realized that they're a slave to that system just as much as I was, I realized it's, it's not about personality. It's about business to them. So.
But it seems as though the industry itself is going to wind up paying the price for being so late to grasp the changes that are coming, that are going to be forced upon it over time, because they're still late in sort of making changes, even just toward the internet distribution.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't look at it that way. With the advent of iPod and some of these other record companies that are trying to catch up with that medium. So they still want to be the content provider. Doesn't make a difference whether they make the music or not. They have an agenda, and once real musicians figure that out, then they'll create their own agenda and leave that one to the bean counters.
Define funk for me, because it's something, at least for me, that I hear, but I can't describe.
Well, if you can describe it, it ain't funky.
Is it that simple?
Pretty much. Yeah, it's, wow.
Is it in a beat?
No. I've given different answers to that. One time I just said Maceo Parker. So you would have to talk to him and listen to the tone of his voice and listen to how he relates to music and the things that move him. And there are many things that are funky, the time, they're funky. I can hear them in the background warming up now.
They're opening up tonight.
Yeah. But they're hard to describe, too. It's something you just have to experience.
Is there a song that you're most proud of?
I like to think of all my music as one song, and I'm curious to hear what the last one that I write is going to sound like. I know what the first one was. I'm just curious as to what the last one would be.
Are there any songs that you look at or listen to of your own that you recorded that you, I guess not regret, but maybe don't like anymore?
No, I understand why I wrote it at the time. I don't have regrets like that when it comes to music. As you grow and as you evolve, you learn more about yourself, you learn more about the people around you, you start to see yourself as part of the whole universe, and all that changes. So I think I've done the best that I could at what I had to work with at the time.
Do you take your artistic cues off what you are experiencing in life at that particular point?
To some degree, you can't help but to. At the same time, I like to try to let people influence me, other musicians, musicians that are in my groups, not ones that are looking to start trends or that I see on TV or something like that, but just people that I meet that move me spiritually.
Do you listen to the radio?
No.
Oh, no.
No.
And are there musicians out there? I read in one interview that you admire Alicia Keys, her music. Are there many other musicians out there active today, perhaps young musicians, who you do admire, or is the laundry list people you could care less about?
Well, unfortunately, I don't get to hear a lot of stuff because I don't, I'm not plugged into the mainstream. And just being out here, you don't really have a chance to. You're working every night, and when you're not working, you're trying to get a little rest. And I happen to have met Alicia Keys through my own music. Strangely enough, she called me and told me that she had covered one of my tunes. So that's how I like to meet people, through music itself, organically, when I don't expect it, and we've come to be good friends just based upon the music.
Is that gratifying to get a phone call from an artist saying, I've covered one of your songs?
Yes, any sort of respect and love that I receive from other musicians is so cherished, because they're, I don't want to say a dying breed, but they're struggling out here now, and I thank you for doing this, because it gives us a medium to speak about some of the ills that we have to deal with, and it's wonderful.
You played at the Grammy Awards with Beyonce. It looked like a ton of fun. And people were talking about it for weeks afterwards, still are to this day, the performance that you and Beyonce gave. You got to know her a little bit as you prepared for that.
Tiny bit, yeah.
And you were giving her some advice on how to make yourself more relevant or perhaps have a longer career in this industry?
Not so much that. I was really curious as to how much she knew musically, and I was really pleased to find out that she knew a lot about scales, Mixolydian scales and Egyptian styles and different things like that. And I was just trying to show her some chords on the piano and help her to respect the fact that if she learns piano a la Aretha Franklin and Ray Charles and things like that, I mean, the sky's the limit as to what she could do, because she's so very talented.
A lot of musicians talked about how they were affected, impacted, perhaps even creatively, by the events of September 11th, 2001.
How long we got here? I
gotta wrap?
We do a sign-off and...
Okay, I'll do the sign-off later. Doesn't matter. Do you want to answer that or no?
See, what's happening is I got to hear...
Oh, great, you're hearing what's going on.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you got to go,
and
go.
then I'll be gone in a second.
If you got to go, go.
Yeah, okay.
But I want to thank you.
You'll do the sign-off?
Yeah, I'll do the sign-off.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good luck tonight.
All right.
Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, sir.